Let's talk about a universal topic that binds us all, which is temptation. In my last video, I talked about comfortability, and these go hand in hand. So forgive me if I'm a little bit repetitive as far as some of the information. But temptation is something that I've been wanting to talk about recently, how we are easily affected by it. Temptation can come in a lot of forms. For example, one being easy money, which a lot of you guys know what that means already, so I'm not going to get too into detail about that. But we already know how dangerous that could be. Second could be unhealthy habits, which could affect us physically and mentally. Physically, it could affect us because some unhealthy habits that we are tempted to do is binge eat or eat junk food or things that we're not supposed to be putting into our body, that properly gives us the nutrients that we need without affecting our body in a negative way. As far as mentally, temptations can cause us to feel guilty, to feel shame, and to feel certain depressions because we're guilty and shameful of the things that we did. The third thing that temptation really affects us on is the enticement of going against our morals, right? Going against the things that we believe in or that we stand on or that we shouldn't be going back on, if that makes sense. It's almost as if temptation talks to us and tells us that it's okay to sacrifice our long-term goals for short-term gains, and that it's okay to worry about the consequences later. And the reason why temptations is so dangerous or it's able to change your mind to a certain extent is because it comes to us and it attacks us at our weakest and our most vulnerable points, or our most vulnerable times. And a lot of times it comes in one of two ways. The first being that it's okay to do this right now. You shouldn't have to worry about it. You don't worry about the consequences, like I said earlier. And the second form, which is just blatantly the most dangerous, is I know what I'm doing is wrong, or I know that this is what I'm not supposed to be doing right now, but I don't care. I'm going to live for that satisfaction that I'm getting right now. And we already know how dangerous that could be. It's almost as if you're acting off impulse, and we know how dangerous acting off impulse can be, right? Because a lot of times, think about all the things that you do on impulse. When you buy stuff on impulse, right? Or you do actions on impulse. A lot of the times, that stuff that you bought on impulse, you didn't even want it for real. Second of all, a lot of things that you do on impulse, you wanted to do it right then and there. You felt like it was okay to do it right then and there. You totally end up regretting it majority of the times if you really think about it, because you actually start to think in your more logical mind. Right? And once you realize that doing stuff out of temptation can ruin your mentality and just ruin the way you work or the way you function to a greater extent than what it is shown at face value, you start to think more logically. You start to do stuff that'll make you get out of that temptation, or start to do stuff that'll not put you in positions where you will be tempted, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, if you're trying to get rid of something, you have to limit how much access it has to you. You have to limit how much it's around to where it will even be able to make you change your mindset or change the things that you're doing. But falling in and out of temptation is not the end all be all, because for every time that we fall into our temptations, it teaches us a lesson. And for every time that we don't fall into the temptation or we stray away from it, it allows us to build ourselves exponentially and greater, to where when we have other temptations, we could easily get by them, or temptations that may be harder, it's easier to work through them because we done already got through the ones in the past, right? So it's almost just like anything. For example, like practicing, like when you're practicing for something, no matter what it may be, a sport, a play, anything that requires you to sit there and take a lot of time to get better at it or to get used to it, trained at it, it's just one of those things. It just falls into that same category where you're gonna have to constantly be trying to work at it and get to a point where you're not gonna be affected by it no more. So y'all let me know down below what y'all think in the comments about temptations. What temptations do y'all have that y'all feel like y'all can't get out of, and how are you getting out of the temptations that you've already got out of, right? Without further ado, man, y'all like, comment, subscribe, and we're gonna be on to the next vid.